Thank you to new Tier 2 patron Zyrelia. Become a patron for early access to my interview with Droomish, which will be available on Patreon early next week. Tier 2 patrons also get access to my solo podcast, The Freezer, which has 2 episodes out right now. SuperEpicAmpharos, or C for short, is one of the most talented Gen 3 OU players in the world. C is not afraid to use novel Pokemon such as Lunatone, Electrode, and even Shedinja in the highest stakes and most elite tournaments Gen 3 has to offer. But she isn't all about novelty either. C is versatile and can comfortably use top-tier meta teams as well, making her hard to prepare for. Her talents extend beyond just Gen 3 OU too. C is one of the best Gen 3 Ubers players in the world, and seems to dabble in various obscure formats that Pokemon has to offer, innovating and pushing the limits of whatever metagame she chooses to grace with her presence. Thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me today, C. And how are you?
Hello, I'm doing okay. Been a long week, but I'm very happy to be here and be on this podcast with you.
I'm glad to have you. The viewers at home are very familiar. I've covered you on my channel multiple times. You know, my most viewed video is about you bringing Shedinja to Kala's Invitational,
Yeah,
which is quite a thing.
that's a fun it's a fun starter for people who don't really know me. I'm like, hey, I did this. I send them your Shedinja video.
I'd love to ask you about that in a moment. But my first question for you is the origin of your username. And it's a wonderful username. It sounds like something a 10-year-old would come up with, signing up for Pokemon.com or whatever. Is that what it was? Was it a childhood username that you've just stuck with? It sounds like it.
You're absolutely right. I started Pokemon Showdown in 2012. And first thing, I had a friend when I was in middle school, and he went with the name Pika Awesome Chew. And because we're children,
That's great.
right? I was like, dude, epic is like the coolest word ever. So I went with Super Epic Ampharos. The first time I put in that name on Showdown, I misspelled Ampharos. So if you look
dear.
up Super Epic Ampharos, but the O and the A are switched.
Ampharos.
Yes, Ampharos. You'll see my registration date of that account of December 31st, 2012. It was a point of shame for me for a long time. I'm like, oh my God, my name is so stupid. But I really like C as it's shortened now. So we live with
I
it.
think there's like an arc that those kinds of names go on. When you're 10 years old, it's the coolest thing of all time. Then maybe you're like 16 or so. It's like Super Epic Ampharos is lame. I'm stuck with this stupid name. And then you're like 20s. Super Epic Ampharos is once again the greatest username of all time.
Exactly. Like TDK, the Dragon Knight, BKC, Blazing Kickin' Chicken.
Those are the best kinds of usernames. The relic of childhood wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And even the shortened C has a bit of mystique to it as well. I like that too. So the Shedinja thing, your claim to fame. I did ask you about that when it happened. And when that happened, that was quite a moment. I remember people in Discord tagging me saying, you got to see this. And I took a look and I couldn't believe my eyes. It's probably the craziest thing I've ever seen in a Pokemon tournament to this day. And your logic for it was just Shedinja was a spike sack to get your Doug trio in against a Blissey, and it was the bulky Doug that lives even after a spike. Why did you choose that, though, against, who were you up against again? Ban Menifee, was it?
Mana. It was Mana, yeah. So I made that team, let's see, last year, CI 2023. I probably made that 2021. And that year, a lot of my teams from that tour, I really didn't build much in that tour. I was just taking stuff from my old team dump. I came across that, and I'm like, this is really funny. So throughout the tour, people are asking me for test games. I'm playing games with like Crystal, H-Clat, Sedlecius, some other people I can't remember right now. And every now and then I pull out the Shedinja team just because I wanna feel it. I want to see what it's doing. And I'm winning most of the games. So I'm like, I might just bring this. I DM'd Callus, like, hey. Okay, well, the year before I DM'd Callus, hey, will I get banned if I bring a Minun?
Right, yeah, folks,
I
Callus
didn't-
has a rule where if you bring like a complete garbage Pokemon, you might actually get banned from the tournament for like throwing. Because, you know, if you bring like Pichu or something, Pichu doesn't do anything, just for context. But it's a weird rule, but
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense because you don't want to throw in. He wants the tournament to be serious and like high level.
Yeah.
But
So I was like, hey, can I bring a Minun? It had a completely unique niche. It was Agility Pass plus Encore. It was
That's valid.
the week I was playing Jabba the Griffin, I believe, and he'd lost to that team. It was Plusle team in Mushy League. like a couple times. I'm like, dude, it'd be really funny if I brought that. So I asked Callus, hey, can I bring a mine in? He's like, does it do something? I'm like, yes, it does. And he's like, okay. I didn't end up bringing it because I was maybe going to bring it in game three. And then last year, it was the third place game versus Mana. And it wasn't really an opponent specific thing. I wasn't looking for anything on his scout. I really, the whole idea of it was never going to work versus Mana, of having a spike shack of Shedinja, because he had brought like zero spikes that entire tournament, zero Skarm, zero Glalie, zero Rose, zero Cloy, zero spikes. I just felt like if he was going to bring something offensive, which he had been doing for the entire thing, Subbataya Kingdra, that really, really fat DD Mint, and Raikou were all going to be really big threats. So I kind of wanted to bring that. And also, I was up 2-0 in the set, and I was looking at my team builder, like, should I do it? I'm like, you know what? I'm up 2 games. I can do it. So that's why I ended up bringing that. It wasn't anything I was looking for specifically from him. It was kind of just I want really good offensive Pokemon, and this team has it. And also, it's really, really funny. So that's why I ended up loading that.
Oh, there you go. I think in the video I said like this was a very high level counter pick or something. Like, but turns out it was just a work of comedy. It's just this would be funny.
Exactly.
But I suppose also just bringing something out of left field does do some psychic damage. Man is probably
For
thinking, "What
sure.
the hell is this Shedinja for?" and you're like freaking out. Which in a high pressure situation, that's something to consider.
That set was really, really, really interesting to prep for, because we both knew we were not going to bring a Skarmory. I had zero Blissey usage that tournament. He had one, I think. I had one Skarm, zero Bliss. He had zero Skarm, one Bliss. So we're kind of like, we both know, like we're both kind of on the same wavelength. I was kind of expecting a Metacham mirror, honestly. Um, if I ended up bringing a Medi, it was weird to prep for it because it was like 1200 ELO ADV. There's no Skarmory in the tier. There may not even be a T-Tar. It's like, so I brought like absolute garbage. I brought like a slacking team with no mag that had like a CB gone or some garbage like that. And then another game I brought, like, it was a Dawn fan team, Dawn fan no suit, no suit, no mag. It was just like, he's not bringing a Skarmory. There's no point. So that was the
That
most
is so
bizarre
interesting. Yeah,
set I've ever played, I think.
it's like a whole different meta at that point because Scum has
Yeah,
such an
exactly.
impact. You have to have a plan for Scum, but if you're playing against someone that never uses Scum, the tier is completely different. It's a whole different game.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I guess Shedinja's not a bad pick into someone that brings Kingdra teams too, because like Shedinja kind of destroys. It just
Yeah.
comes in on Kingdra, comes in on Raikou as you mentioned. What is Raikou? Unless it's Crunch Raikou, which is kind of rising, but
But that was what I was looking at. But he brought a Gorbis early in the tournament. So
oh
truly,
yeah,
who knows, right?
the Shedinja insane matchup into Rain. That's crazy. But it ended up being like a sandless mag team you went up against, and you just walled the meta and the Suicune with, or you at least threatened to wall them
hmm
with the Shedinja, which was quite a thing, wasn't it?
that whole tournament was really kind of weird in terms of that stuff. I know set one grand finals versus Rick, I brought a Rapidash.
You
No
did, yeah.
real, there was no real reason for me to bring Rapidash. It didn't do anything in specific. Again, I was up 2-0. I was feeling pretty good. And my good friend, my best friend, Zern, had been telling me like several times throughout the tournament, like, yo, you got to bring this Rapidash team. Because I've had this for a couple of years. I brought it in some side tour. I think it was like ROA Olympics. I truly don't remember. He's like, dude, you got to load it. It's going to win. I'm like, whatever. I'm up 2-0. I checked Discord, and there's like in a server room, and there's like 11 people in call watching my game. I'm like, this is gonna be fun. So I loaded the Rapidash team, and Rapidash didn't actually do anything. I got 4 kills with Focus Punch Gengar though, which was a pretty fun game.
What's the Rapidash supposed to do? It's flash fire and it's fast. It's good whispers.
So
The
that's
Ben Pass? Does it
it's
have
a
Ben Pass?
yes, it's a CM pass team, and the whole idea is that Celebi can see past a Rapidash, and Rapidash can eat the fire move that threatens
Oh,
Celebi.
genius.
Either from like Moltres or Salamence, and then you just pass Rapidash, and it allows you to have something that resists fire and can also continue the pass.
Can you baton pass the
It
flash fire effect to something else?
it does do that, but that's not the primary purpose.
That's fun though.
It is pretty fun.
It's cool.
Flash fire Celebi.
You can go back to the Celebi, get a boosted HP fire. Does that like?
hmm
I wonder if +1 flash fire HP fire hits some like. Does that one hit Scam or something? Maybe. Maybe you could EV for that. That's
That
genius.
sounds funny. I've never thought about that though.
We're cooking up some stuff right now. There's this old video on the Big Will channel that you featured on called "We Solved ADV." That's one of my favorite Gen 3 OU videos on YouTube. It's just you and Big Will and a call, just like building the worst teams I've ever seen. There was like what was it? Like Lumberry Sceptile with Dynamic Punch or something, and like a Tentacruel with
SD Dynamic Punch Sceptile, yes.
And it was like, I think there was a muck in there at one point. I don't remember.
Yes, Mean Look Curse Muck was one of the Pokemon.
I think that's just the way your mind works. Is like, what is the funniest thing I can use?
It's I love funny stuff. Um, I think part of it for me is like exploring new stuff. I always love to get a new perspective on the game, and messing around with stuff for me is that's also why I play a million different like lower tiers, and why I'm never like stuck in an OU all the time. You can click on some random thread that's like just some random tier. There's a good chance I'm probably playing that tournament because I love new perspectives. I love trying new stuff. And while SD Dynamic Punch Sceptile is, it's a little bit just like for fun and like this is silly. It's also like if this works, it would be awesome. So, I guess you could say that's how my mind works. I love having fun with the game of Pokemon. At the end of the day, I'm in this to have fun. Um, so yeah, getting to use silly stuff like that is really important for my relationship with the game, I think.
We actually got a question from Rotom6033 said, would you consider team building an art? And I guess in a way some of your teams are like works of comedy as well. But then sometimes they become something real. Like your discovery of like Lantern's genuine niche, your Lunatone Executor team, while it's like ridiculous, is kind of brilliant at the same time. The Electrode as well. I think like those are born from just goofing around. But you throw things at the wall and something sticks. Like that's a creative process in a way. Do you think team building is an art in that sense?
I do think team building is an art, absolutely. I think there's a lot of things that go into team building, so much so that it's kind of disrespectful for it to not be an art or be considered one. Like you mentioned some examples. The Lunatone Executor team, that was the first time I really ever like built something like actually like crazy. And I was like, this kind of works. I didn't realize it worked until I played games with it. Like I just built it because it was really funny. And then I played games with it. Like there were concepts when I was making it, obviously, like the Lunatone did something, the Exeggutor did something. Like obviously I wasn't just blindly throwing Pokemon at a game and saying, yeah, this'll like never work. But then I played it a bunch of tests with it and I'm like, this works surprisingly well. Which is why I brought it to SPL. Obviously it was a game that didn't matter, but I would have brought it if it mattered anyway, because I believed in the team because I tested it. I made sure that it worked. I think that um, team building is my creative outlet. Um, I think, I don't want to inspire a new generation of like total crackheads, right? Because I'm sure a bunch of the people higher up are like, I'm just so sick of these fucking NU on otherwise good OU teams that don't do anything. It's like I want to inspire the sort of Go out and try something. It's really fun. Like, try something. If it doesn't work, okay, whatever. Um, I want to inspire that, but at the same time, everything needs to have like an actual purpose. Um, so while it's a creative outlet for me, it may not be necessary for other people. Like Fakes. I hate to bring up names, but Fakes has like 5 teams in his team builder, and they're like my little um big 5 DD ments, whatever garbage spec off someone passed him in the last week. Like, they don't need to team build. He's really, really good at Pokemon. Like, he plays really, really good. And, you know, I think he said once, like, if you build fancy EV spreads, you're not focusing enough on the game or whatever. Um,
Yeah,
and like, I'm kind of at odds with that. Like, team building is such an important part of the game, and obviously he's a great pilot. I don't know that he sees all the things that go on the team building side, and he doesn't have to, right? I mean, he wins, but I don't know. I think team building is an art, and it should be looked at as one. For people like Sedley CS, who is the best EV spread creator, bar none, in my opinion.
yeah.
I think, as respect to them and people like Linear, obviously Linear's a great player, but his teams are truly something special. I think team building should be an art to respect people like that.
I
Sorry, I kind of
agree.
went off on a tangent there, but
No, I agree with you. I think that like it is a creative thing to build a team. It's weird because it's a competitive game and you're trying to win, but there's so many options in Gen 3, you especially, that you can
Mhm.
mess around with. There's so many avenues to victory. Even like something like Beer Lover when that first came out, Big Five Starmie. Yeah, that's just a nice optimized good team. I don't like it today, but back when that came out, it had an impact. Or like the Fradazi
Mhm.
Celebi Aerospikes team had a bit of a wave around it. It's not using anything crazy. There's no lantern or anything, but it's just a flavor of offense that had an impact. And then at the same time, something like, I don't know, Vapakuno's Swallow team is just a really interesting way to look at the game and build around different things. With the staff berry can pass to like every team member. And you can endeavor with the Swallow. There's like different branching lines you can go down. Like that's a
Yeah,
brilliant team that
absolutely.
only he could think of. That it defies like a lot of fundamental concepts. You got
I think you mentioned Beer Lover, and you look at that and like the fast Blissey and like just little things like that. Stuff like that is so special. And I think that's what makes ADV like beautiful in a way. It's just little optimizations or little set tweaks like that can really make a big difference in how you play the game. And something I mentioned to one of my friends before is that like, and you said something great just now, is there's so many paths to victory, really. I don't think that any one path has like a greater efficacy than another. I think there's a ton of valid ways to reach that end goal in ADV, especially. And team building lets you discover new ways to reach that end goal. Like the Vacuno Swellow team is so interesting. It has so many things going on. Whereas like Beer Lover is, I wouldn't call it uninteresting, but it's very, I don't want to call it surface level either, but you get what I'm saying, right? You can look at the team and you can kind of really get an idea of the game plan by looking at it. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very effective path to victory. It has a few different paths in there. Or the Celebi Aerospikes is all kind of one path, but there's a ton of contribution to that path and things that could get in the way of it. You have answers for stuff like that. So that's something that I'm always looking for is a new path to victory or a new way to break or something like that. Um, I think that right there, what you said, encapsulates it perfectly. There's so many ways to win.
yeah, it's an expressive game where you could just be really fundamentally solid. You don't even build teams at all, or you build the harebrained, ridiculous teams that maybe work once, like a Ban Manaphy, one of those Metacham offenses that could just defy all the fundamental rules of like having, you need a rock resist, you need like a special check, you need all these boxes to tick. What if I just ignore all that and I have this I just know all the lines and I just figure out what to do in every situation with this bizarre combination of Pokemon that somehow works.
Right? Information is so interesting in ADV because, if you have the full information of their team before the game, then, teams like stuff like Mana brings or stuff like I bring aren't going to work as well, I think. But the information game is really, really important on that end. And, like Metacham, obviously we've kind of used a standardized sort of Metacham 6 nowadays, but still extremely effective. But when he pulls out like a Gorobus or whatever, it's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what he has in the back. And it's hard to know what pieces you need to preserve and everything. And I think that's a really underrated part of Gen 3 especially.
It's so cool, isn't it? Like even that, I think the Eden team with the Vaporeon lead. Like everyone knows that team now, but when that was first thought of, it's kind of brilliant. Like, like the Vaporeon, if you don't know, folks, is EV to live Zapdos Thunderbolt and then get a Select Berry. So in the face of a Zapdos, you can just click Ice Beam and 2-hit KO it because you'd get brought down to Select Berry, then you outrun them. And you can baton pass the speed to a teammate like a Tyranitar that is also has this really wacky EV spread where it's like really bulky, but with the speed boost from the Select Berry, it can then dance again and outrun everything, and then live like an incoming whatever. It's brilliant. And then that Vaporeon just has great lead matchups to everything. It hits the Tar, hits like Metagross 2 hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird to look back on those teams now because obviously we know all them and we've seen them used all the time now. But yeah, like you're totally right. Back when they were first sort of being created, it's like, whoa, this is so crazy. And now we just kind of take it all for granted.
I think that's what I like the most about Gen 3 OU. It's hard to convey what I like about Gen 3 OU sometimes, but I think people fixate too much on the fact that I bring up like, Camerupt has a niche and Roselia has a niche. It's not really about things having niches. It's like the way the actual game is played and the tools that you have are the most interesting in Gen 3, in my opinion, than any other generation, where innovation is like an EV spread or like, I don't know, ABR putting Imprison on Dusclops for the Snorlax matchup or something. It's like a little tech, but because there's this healthy center of all these Pokemon and there's going to be like Zapdos leads, so you can specifically EV for it. And you know what I mean? Maybe I'm rambling a bit here, but yeah.
No, I absolutely agree. It's a really healthy level of centralization where there's a good amount of threats that you can actually prepare for and thus innovate off of them.
Yeah, and I also think it's good that there's something like TSS that is just solid all the time that you can just load up and be all right. But if you want to go crazy with team building, I think you have all the tools because you sort of know what people are going to use. You know you can optimize things. EV for very specific things, like the Gengar spreads you see with bulk benchmarks, speed benchmarks, everything feels very... Like, no matter what kind of player you are, I think there's something for you.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think Gen 3 is super skill expressive. However you want to play the game, you can almost certainly find a way to do it within your own little avenue, right? Like I love offense. I love crackhead nonsense. I like nonsense, quote unquote. I don't view it as nonsense, other people do, but I love doing that. People like let me think of one. Siglet loves his Scarm, Special Wall, Tar, like those very generic themes, and he's good at those. H-Clat is kind of all over the place, and you look at a lot of the top players, and there's just a lot of representation of how they want to play the game, and that's what I really do love about Gen 3 is it lets you do that.
That's super true. I think more than any other gen, you think of a player and there's like an image in your head, not only of like the kinds of teams they like and they use, but even what plays they might make, like what kind of choices they make. I don't know other gens do have that. It's not like Gen 3 owns the concept of skill expression. I do think that a lot of different playstyles can exist in Gen 3 for sure and succeed. Do you think Gen 3
No
OU is
doubt.
your favorite generation? Because you play heaps of generations, like low tiers, Gen 3 Ubers, Gen 5 OU, I think you've dabbled
Uh,
in.
Favorite generation or favorite tier? I could talk about
Format.
this for a
Yeah,
minute.
format.
Okay. Let me give you top three. Does that work?
Yeah, sure.
My favorite tier of all time is Black and White ZU.
Oh, I played a bit of that. That was cool.
My second favorite tier is probably DPPLC if I had to nail one down.
The Oranberry tier.
Yes, dude, it's so much fun. And for third, that's really hard. Before my answer would probably be ADV but I haven't touched it in a little bit. I'll say that anyway. I love that tier.
What's going on there? I tried the ADV ZU. That was fun. What's going on in PU?
Oh man. Um, let's see. Minun is the uncontested best Pokemon in the tier. It has Wish, it has Encore, T-Wave, Baton Pass. There's also Swalot, who's really good. Um, Stuff like Duskull, Charmeleon,
Does sound cool,
um,
yeah.
Mawile, Celio. Omanite is the spiker in that tier. You got Dragonair. It's really when I played it, which was last year. I was really into like this sort of offense, like I do in ADVOU. I was doing like this sort of spikeless offense stuff. Right now I think we're having kind of a para spam rise. Because a bunch of the good mons are good at clicking T-Wave, and stuff like Graveler and Celio are really, really good at abusing that para. I think, I don't know how much I would like it right now, but I think there's a ton of tools and a lot of good. I think it strikes a really good balance between offense and defense, and that's why I like it a lot.
I'll have to give it a go. I always try out the lower tiers of old gens when they're on the spotlight. I tried out Gen 1 ZU a bit. That's fun too. Gen 4 Little Cup was a lot of fun when that was there, for sure.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
This definitely seems like
It's
the SuperEpicAmpharos tier. It's just offense is all you do.
Oh my God. It's all offense. You can make basically anything you want work. EV spreads are really important. Like 76 defense on Gligar lets you live over Ice Shard, stuff like that. Um, there's a bunch of stuff, little intricacies, and mapping out the game is like important. I could rave about this tier forever. I love it so much.
I did have a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed Whalema was fun. Ghastly
Oh
was
yes,
broken and
Ghastly's so good.
kept bringing me back from the brink. I would be down heaps, and then Ghastly comes in, hit him with the was it sub I was using? I can't recall, but I
Sounds
recall some Ghastly
nasty.
comebacks. We got a
Um,
question from Quab. What is a Pokemon you wish was better? I suppose in Gen 3 or U, I would
oh,
assume.
hmm. Pokemon I wish was better. I mean, the cop-out answer is like Lantern because it's really not very good, but
Yeah, it's almost
my
good.
yeah, it's almost there. If it had a little bit more stats, I would say Quillfish. Quillfish would be my answer.
Wonder how you would even improve Quillfish, because it's just being Dug Weak is such a problem.
Bug Week,
Psychic Weak too.
I think it's really lacking on stats, really. I mean, look at it. It's got like what, 55 special attack, 55 SPDF. Like no Intimidate in this gen 2 really hurts it, but like I think having another alternative spiker would be interesting, whereas now it really just can't do that.
It's good in
I
Ubers,
think
isn't
it
it?
eh. Good as a stretch.
Ah, dang. I thought it was alright in Ubers, Gen 3 Ubers.
It's all right. I wouldn't consider it much more than that though.
That's unfortunate.
Other than Quillfish, I'd say my answer would be like Meganium. I would like it if Meganium was better.
Yeah, Meganium's actually kind of cool. I kind of like its move pool. It's got like a Leech, Earthquake, like a good physical
hmm
move pool. Maybe if it just had
It's
Natural
really
Cure, that would be a big deal. Or something like a better
Nat
ability.
Cure. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do with it. I think would make it more usable and give us another grass type alternative to Celebi or even Venusaur.
That would be fun. I reckon Absol should be better. It just doesn't do anything, but it's cool, but it just
It
doesn't
has so
work or
many
do anything.
moves. Like, it gets wished. Did you know it got wished?
Yeah, people request that I use Absol a lot on my streams. So I've looked through its move. The best thing I've done with it is just Swords Dance Pass. That's the most effective.
Yeah.
It gets, because it hits all right with HP Fight, and they don't really expect it. But
hmm
I guess Wish could be a filler. But what's that really doing with Wish? It's too frail.
Yeah. Well, you run it like the Pikachu theorem. You click wish and then
Ah,
you
yes.
die.
Yeah, H Club was telling me about that. Was it with like a belly drum user or something? You wish with Pikachu,
Yes.
die on
You
purpose, and
click
then you got
wish.
belly drum Snorlax or something.
Yes. Exactly that.
That's just
It's
crazy.
the most ridiculous thing ever.
And then, of course, folks, you belly drum, lose half your health, but then you get the wish back. But it's not even hard because Pikachu has no health. I guess you invested HP for that, maybe.
No, Gen 3 wish makes you just restore all half.
Oh, really? Wait, how did I not know
Yeah.
that?
Fake fan.
What the hell? I feel like doesn't Blissey wish heal more? No, maybe not.
No, it's just always half.
I'm learning a new thing. What the hell? I didn't know that. That's crazy. But that makes a lot of things so much better.
hmm
Like that's kind of good. The Pikachu, but the Absol. Now I'm thinking about. I guess Mixman's wish. That's why they do that.
Yeah, because you don't have to invest in
Or
HP at
Jolt
all, and you
wish.
can just heal. Yeah.
Genius. I cannot believe I never knew that. I guess why would I assume it was different unless told otherwise? Anyway, something I've noticed about you when you play in tournaments, and other people have too, is that you often nickname your Pokemon after songs, often from the same album. One I noticed was The Strokes,
Yes.
Room on Fire, I think the album, and like
Mm-hmm.
Daft Punk. Are you a
Yes.
music enjoyer or a musician or something? And what's the
Both.
logic behind, or the sentimental reason behind nicknaming your Pokemon after specific albums?
Frankly, it's not as deep as you're hoping, unfortunately. Um, I play the euphonium. If you don't know what that is, it's like a small tuba.
Oh, cool.
Otherwise, I just love listening to music. Basically, if I'm not like in a call with somebody or like engaged in an active conversation, I have music going. So when it comes time for tournament games, and in the past, I always used to do like when I was a draft player or whatever, I always used to do nicknames for my stuff every week. But when it came to like Smogon tournaments, I don't know. Something about let me just put what I'm listening to this week as my name. So like for SPL, I did every album in the Strokes discography. Because I want to say November or so, I got into the Strokes and I'm like, I just want to do all the Strokes albums. Um, or this last set I played, versus Markov, I did Daft Punk's Discovery because I listened to that last year. I own it on vinyl now, which is why I
Oh,
wanted
you
to do
only
that
last
album.
year you heard that one. That's a classic there.
Yeah, dude, it's so good. And then let me think. I've been doing Carly Rae Jepsen nicknames recently because I've been getting into her music. Which I'm not gonna go on that, but last year specifically, one of my friends, Piteous, DPP invite winner, DPPOU player, sent me like a bunch of albums he loves listening to. And I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to all these. So I've had a lot of music inspiration to draw from for albums. So big shout out to him for that. And I just love music. It's very therapeutic for me. Whenever I'm playing a set, I have music going. Helps me focus.
That's very cool. What kind of music do you listen to when you play? Is it like calming? I would put on either like jazz music or like something like Sigur Rós, if you know them. This sort of calm and
Mm,
instrumental when I'm playing.
I do know Sigur Rós. I've only listened to I don't know how to say it. Agatis Björn or whatever. I don't know how to
Oh
say
yeah,
it. I
that.
butchered
Yeah,
that
yeah.
probably. That was great. Actually for the last like year and a half, I just listened to the same song on repeat. Whenever I play a tour game.
Oh, that's cool.
Depeche Mode's World in My Eyes, I listen to on repeat. And I think having that song, that constant is very nice because it lets my brain know it's time to get focused, time to get ready. It randomly happened. Funny story. Do you remember when you commentated my set versus Astomatitos?
Yeah, it was a really long stall game with Carmine Blissey.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That was the first time I listened to that song. While I was playing a tour game, I just put on the album. I'm like, wow, this song is so good. So I just kept listening to it. And now it's kind of just like a thing. It's a thing for me. So I guess that's been about 2 years that I've been listening to that for every really important tour game I play. I
Bit of
the song
soundtrack.
is kind of like yeah, the song's kind of like romantic, but I interpret the lyrics a different way. It's kind of a motivator for me. It's like let me show you the world in my eyes. It's kind of a let me show you,
The Lunatone I have in the back.
my yeah, it's like a let me show you my perspective of things.
That's wonderful. I'll give that a listen after this. Hear the sea soundtrack. Do you think it like maybe even if there wasn't much intent behind it? Do you think naming your Pokemon after the music you like helps you calm down and lower the stakes? You're just thinking about like nice music you enjoy when you're looking at the screen. That probably helps.
Um,
I don't know.
I haven't really thought about it, but you're probably onto something.
Reinforces that it's all for fun.
Yeah, I I like to make the nicknames make sense. Like, let me think. My SPL set or my SPL game versus M Dragon, like I had a Zapdos named Lightning Strike and
Oh,
a
genius.
Gengar named Spectre. Off of a Judas Priest album. When I did Blue Offense versus Rick, the Heracross was named Us versus Them because it's a Heracross. It's kind of like a it's a sort of a desperation. It's a Salakera especially.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I had an Aerodactyl named No Surrender because Aerodactyl. Um,
Oh, that's funny.
so I think it's kind of fun for me. Like pre-game is like, oh, what should this one be? Or stuff like that.
I used to do that with when I first got into Gen 3. I don't really do nicknames too much these days, but had a phase where I was really into the movie Goodfellas, and the first team I made, I named all the characters like something related to the movie.
I love that stuff. Like even if nobody else checks it out or does anything with it, it's like kind of silly. I love it.
Yeah, UD does the same thing, naming his Pokemon after like music. A bit of expression, yeah. I like it too. And got a question from Clockwork NB related to that. What is your favorite Rush song? The first time I saw a game of yours was on Jim's channel, and I noticed all your mons had Rush song nicknames, and I was ecstatic.
Oh, this is such a crazy question. My favorite band forever was Rush. I've seen them in concert twice.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like
So
him too.
thank you. Can't remember the name you just repeated at me, but this is a very difficult question. I appreciate it. La Via Strangiato is my favorite Rush song. If I had to pick a second, it would be The Spirit of Radio.
Good choices. I haven't listened to Rush in a while. I'm just thinking of Tom Sawyer. That's the only thing coming to mind. But I used to be really into them. I knew like much more than just that. Limelight was a good song, I thought.
Yeah, that whole Permanent Waves album is just fantastic. Um,
There's one song on there that goes for like 8 minutes that's really good. I forget the name.
Entree Now,
What was it? Am I thinking of something entirely?
or it's
2112? Am I hallucinating that? What is that?
that one's 20 minutes.
Yes. That was epic.
That's a fantastic song.
It's all coming back to me now. That was a great piece of music. What is your favorite album then? SuperEpicAmpharos?
Like ever.
Yeah, you do you not have
Um,
one? Or is it hard to choose? Can be hard to
I
choose.
have a couple. I have a couple picks. Let me give me a second. Um, if I had to pick just one, I can't pick just one, so I'll do a couple. Let's see. Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age is one of my favorite albums, if not my favorite album. Um, Depeche Mode's Violator. It's up there. Close to the Edge by Yes. Love that album.
That's a good one.
Um, see. Recently, um, probably Good Kid, Mad City.
Classic,
That
yeah.
album's fantastic. And Carly Rae Jepsen's Emotion, probably something along those lines.
Yeah, I liked that album too, Emotion. Like, it's got a lot of songs on it though. It's not, you can't really like listen to the whole thing back to front. But there are a few jams on there for sure.
That's I was not expecting that question today, but that's a fun one.
Yeah, so it's part of your personality and the nicknames and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A hot take that you have is that, if I'm not mistaken, you think that Metagross is the number one Pokemon in Gen 3 OU. Not Tyranitar and not Skarmory, but Metagross.
Correct.
And I do understand the logic. I don't know if you have different reasoning, but, Metagross is a Pokemon that can fit on any team at all, whether it's Stall, Hyper Offense, Rain, Special Offense, Physical Offense, anything. You can chuck a Metagross in there, and it will probably be good and be useful. Explosion is broken, and Metagross is the strongest Explosion user. It can't be intimidated. It's the only guy that can one-hit Skarm with its Explosion, with a Choice Band or a +1 attack raise. It poses a threat, it creates mind games, and it makes sense that you would appreciate Metagross because of the way it enables offense teams and, offensive gameplay in general.
Yeah. For me, the reason I put Metagross first on my VR, really was like I don't remember who said it, but I've kind of abided by it. I think it was like Altina or UD. It's like, your VR should really reflect your usage. Like, these are the Pokemon you're bringing to tournament games. These are the ones you are, I believe that these can work, etc. And after last year's CI, I had I think 85% Metagross usage. And my next highest was like 50, 40. Like,
Yeah, wow.
if
Yeah.
that's not believing in Metagross, then I don't know what is. My rule for like an offense is like you should have a Steel Psychic on your team. Either Jirachi's broken with like Calm Mind stuff, or Metagross is just a ridiculous Pokemon. It's really good at enabling offense. It does all these things. Like, a lot of people are in mixed meta right now. I basically like just use CP and agility. Those are my two favorites. They're really, really good on offense, and they're good at being enabled, but also being an enabler. You can game plan with them in a lot of different ways. You can win with it, or you can use it to let something else win. It's super flexible in game and also in the team builder.
That's true. That's definitely true. Because it can, like, explode on the Suicune or something important. And then
It can
Salamence wins. Or, like, I don't know. You tar an arrow, beat down the Swampert, and now nothing checks Metagross, and that wins with agility or something.
Yeah. Or like you run like HP Grass T-Tar, and then you chip Pert like that, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
boom, your Metagross is just so open.
Very dynamic Pokemon. Can be used as, like, a defensive check against if they have an arrow, you need to preserve it. Or it can be the win con. Or it can just trade with one thing. That's true, it's cool.
Mhm.
In that way. I also kind of hate Metagross, though. Like, mash attack raise is really annoying sometimes.
It's ridiculous. Genuinely, like, it's such a stupid move, and it's so ridiculously hard, and it has a 20% chance to just like beat through its checks. It's like this Pokemon's kind of not okay. There's the flip side of, it can miss, which, like, that's fair. That's whatever. But like getting a mash raise and then clicking agility is like, okay, if this is a Pokemon in the game, that's a little silly.
Yeah, I never like it when accuracy is the way you balance something, because it's not something you control. It's just sometimes it doesn't hit. Like, what if it does
Hmm.
hit? Then I'm effed. It's the one move in Gen 3 that feels like a kind of like a modern Gen move that can just be ignorant. It's kind of ridiculous that you can just mash into a Skarm, and that is like a good play sometimes.
Yeah, it's a little it's a little ridiculous. Like, mash into Skarm until you get like a raise, or just keep mashing, and then if you don't get a raise, who cares? I have a Claydol in the back, and then I'm just gonna bring my Metagross back, and I'm gonna keep clicking mash, and it's just an unstoppable force.
I had a phase of always running Moltres just because I liked that it could one-hit Metagross. Even if it goes crazy, you at least have the easy revenge KO. What's annoying about Metagross too is it's so bulky, so when it gets the attack raise, sometimes you can't even revenge KO it. Like, nothing one hits it on your team. So it just gets some stupid KO and then lives a hit, KOs the next thing, and then blows up. And then you're just toasted. At least Moltres can revenge KO with Flamethrower Modest.
Yeah, like even you can't really bulk for Molt, whereas like you can just like live like Doug or like +1 Tar or +1 Mence or like 3 Pert Surfs.
And like Zapdos it's kind of good versus Metagross, so you resist Steel, and Thunderbolt does a lot. But when they get the attack raise, suddenly Mash is doing 50 plus sometimes.
Yeah, it's just a 2-hit KO with Sand.
A bit idiotic sometimes, but what are you going to do? Also cool, because it's like an all-in-one offensive guy that enables a lot of cool structures as well.
Yeah, he's very integral for a lot of the stuff I build. Silly Mons always need to be backed by good Mons, and Metagross is the most like blanket. I want progress. I want offense. I want an arrow check. I want the ability to enable in basically any game state, and Metagross is just the best at that.
I suppose without Metagross, we wouldn't have things like Electrode game. Is Metagross even on that team? Probably.
Yeah, Agility Metagross is on that team. It's also on the Exeggutor Lunatone team and the Rapidash team.
Without Metagross, we would not have such gaming.
It's also on the Shedinja team. You can see.
Yeah.
I put it on all of my stuff.
Yeah, if your VRs reflect usage, you got to put Metagross #1. And you said yourself you don't even use Skarm a lot of the time. Whereas many players swear by Skarm. It's like their most used.
Yeah, I have like 25% Skarmory usage. Like actually like 25.
That's crazy.
And I have like 40 to 50% Mence and like 40-ish Tar, and I have like 80 meta. It's like, I feel a little dishonest if I'm not putting it all the way up there.
And the results don't lie. You got great tournament success with this strategy. Simply don't use Skarmory. Well, for a lot of people, Skarmory is Gen 3. Like, you got to use Skarmory. It's a little nuts that you have 25% Skarmory.
I used it a lot more in best of 1 than best of 3. Like in best of 3, I tend to go into more creative. At best of 1 is also usually team tournaments, and I feel a little bad if my team really needs me to win, and I'm like, yeah, this is Lunatone week, So I tend to play it a little bit more safe. You'll see a little bit more Bliss and Skarm and that sort of balancey stuff in a best of 1. Whereas best of 3, I really feel like I can just load whatever I want. So, especially like last year, CI, I loaded 2 Skarmories. I loaded more Metacham than I did Skarm.
More Metacham than Skarmory. Let's go, folks.
Yeah.
No, that's a gamer. That's another reason.
Yeah, I had three Metis and 2 Skarms that tour.
That's so cool. That's another reason to hate team tournaments, is that even SuperEpicAmpharos is forced to run Skarm Bliss.
You kind of just have to sometimes. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, you're just so scared of like, oh, am I going to get like counter teamed? Am I going to get fished this week? And there was literally a week in SPL where Triangles brought like Jolt off Coon stuff, and I brought like Skarm Bliss Doll, and he's like, I don't, like no one ever expects you to use that. I'm like, you gotta do it sometimes,
That's true. If you are too predictable that would just destroy some of your teams, Jolteon and offensive Suicune, because they suck into Claydol and Blissey, but against mono fast offensive threats, they eat you alive.
Exactly.
That's smart. We've got a question from Marius. Hello, C and Jim. If you could change one thing about Gen 3, what would it be? For me, it's got to be 2 times crits. I think 1.5 times was a good change overall for the series. Greetings from Germany. I think that's true. I think I like 1.5x. That was a good change. The 2 times crits can be annoying.
Yeah. The crit change, the crit chance drop and the crit damage drop is a really good change. I know mine, and that would be remove full para from the game.
Interesting.
I think it's just a ridiculous game mechanic. Jester told me this once. It turns every move into Will-O-Wisp accuracy, and I've never looked at it the same since. Like, you click Thunderbolt, has a 25% chance to miss. It's just so dumb.
I'm pondering this. I feel like Thunderwave does have some counterplay at least. Like, there's Natural Cure. There's
like Paralysis as a mechanic has counterplay. right? Like you can throw in a ground type and a T-Wave and stuff. And I think the actual like speed lowering effect of T-Wave is really, really healthy. It helps keep Superachi in check is a really big one, right? And that's why I don't want a full ban on para. I just want full paralysis. Like the actual 25% chance to just not move. Like T-Bolt para, full para. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
That
that's
mechanic
always
is so
stupid.
stupid.
That's always annoying.
Yeah, you click your opponent clicks T-bolt into your T-tar, and then you just can't move. It's like, okay, that's awesome. I don't think that stuff should be in the game personally, but that's just me.
I almost think that's more of an issue with the 10% power chance on T-Bolt than... Because, you're clicking T-Bolt to do damage, not to paralyze the enemy. And then you just get this random upside that you weren't intending on. I don't like that.
I hate it too.
10% secondary effects on, like, T-Bolt Flamethrower, I think are pretty stupid. Because, using a move like Scold, you're fishing for the burn. Or Body Slam, you're fishing for the para intentionally. At the cost of some power that you could run return or double edge. But Thunderbolt, you're just clicking a stab move. And sometimes you get upside. I don't like that design-wise.
I think it's interesting you don't name Ice Beam because with Ice Beam,
Ice Beam.
you absolutely are. You are looking for that freeze.
That's why I didn't name it, because sometimes you do fish for the freeze, but that's kind of stupid in its own way.
Yeah, like Jinx clicking Ice Beam, it's like you just have a pretty good chance to just like screw over your opponent.
That's true.
Crits and like freezes and everything just make me mad. Oh my goodness. Like Off Me has like a 15% chance to just beat Zapdos with Ice Beam because it just can just crit or freeze and then it's dead.
I never thought of that. Yeah, it's got two ways to get through. That's not fun. There was a game on my channel recently. I was up against a Machamp lead with Ty. I switched out to my Gyarados and it crit focus punch just one hit my Gyarados. And I was like, get the hell out of it. You gotta exit.
Yeah.
What is that? Crits are definitely... I might agree that nerfing crit damage would be a good change. Maybe my Gyarados would have lived that if it was only 1.5. Other than that, I don't like mash attack raise. I don't know if I'd remove it though. Like the tier needs it kinda. Like it's part of the tier. So is full para. All the hacks, we're all just used to it. It's part of the game. So I don't know. You change things, it's a slippery slope kind of. Crit might be the most inoffensive change that people would like. It's not like crit damage comes up in the same way that like a rock slide flinch comes up in the builder. It's not like you're playing around crit damage. So that would be a clean... Like that would just improve the format probably.
Yeah, and like even lowering the crit chance. I think most people, if we could actually mod the tier, would be like, oh my god, absolutely make that happen. Right, but obviously we can't do that.
Yeah. And I've got thoughts about like an entire mechanical overhaul. I feel like that would be more suited to like a new gen of Pokemon. Maybe in Gen 10, my dream is that they just overhaul everything and get rid of the stupid 10%. And people were mad that I said that. I made a video about that. But I don't know. I think some moves should just be like a stab move with good damage. And then there's one with a secondary effect that's like pretty high, but at the cost of power. So like, yeah, if you want to hit the freeze, maybe there's like an 80 power ice move. Or they just overhaul freeze and change it to something else.
Yeah, like Frostbite, like they did in Legends, right?
Yeah. They could do that. And they could make sleep more competitive, like if you hit a Pokemon, they wake up or something like that. They did change that in Legends Arceus too. They have a different sleep system.
Like you can put a Pokemon to sleep, then when you hit it, it's a crit, and then they wake up, something like that.
I think that could be cool. Instead of having some gimmick like tear up Megas, whatever, just do a whole mechanical overhaul in Gen 10. They will never do this. They're going to do the Mega Evolutions too. But
absolute pipe dream. We're gonna have legendaries that set psychic terrain and weather, and it also increases your special attack by 1.5 when it's up and stuff like that.
And whenever a move hits you, you transform into the type that resists whatever's coming in.
Yeah, we're just waiting for that around the corner.
Oh boy. What is your hottest Gen 3 OU take? That was from Ben Sharpedo.
My hottest? Ooh.
Do you think there's something well-liked that you think is bad, actually? Or...
Well, you know about the whole, I put Zapdos 21st on the VR, right?
Oh, you put Zapdos low?
Yeah, I put it 21st.
I put it like third.
This was like 2 years ago. Since I've moved it up, it's up to a nice, honest 11 now.
Do you not use it? I guess you don't.
I don't. I've used it more recently, but I didn't use it for a long time because, like, Offensive Zap is kind of just like it's a nothing Pokemon to me. Like if I want to break defense, then Zapdos needs spikes. And if you're
Well, you
not
don't like
running that
spikes.
much spikes, then that's probably my considered my hottest. But if I had to think one, uh,
I mean, I completely
there's a
disagree with that.
couple.
That's crazy. Zapdos 11th.
Yeah, I don't think it's top 10. My other hot takes would be like I think leftovers is kind of a scam.
Yeah, in some contexts, I agree. I think more things could run different items.
Dude, whenever I see leftovers Metacham, I get so mad. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's not
Why is it
necessary.
leftovers? You're taking a hit and it's doing 70 and you're never healing that off. Like, just come on. Just run like black belt at the worst. Come on.
I think it's got to be Lum is the best, usually.
I've run so many items. I've ran Salak, I've ran White Herb, I've ran
Oh, White Herb's
Choice
interesting.
Band, I've run Lum. I lost to a Lychee Berry one in CI 6. Um, I really, 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 really like Salak Berry counter. It's EV'd for Metagross Meteor Mash. You hit it with a counter, and then you prop the Salak Berry as your next Pokemon comes in. It is so
Like,
funny.
non-banned, I assume. Is he leading with that?
Yeah. And I mean if they're banned, then you know they're banned and then you can
Oh,
just
you go
mag
the
trap
mag
it.
follow-up. Wait a minute. That's genius. That's genius, actually. Yeah. How much, I guess, how much do you need to live that? Probably a
48
lot.
defense.
40 defense. Wait,
48.
that's not that much.
It's really not.
See, that's what I love, folks. I would never even have thought of that. I love that you can just do that. You get the, and if you died at the band, you have that follow-up. You get the line.
Mm-hmm.
It's the chain reaction moving in your favor. Because if you don't realize, they're locked into mash, so Magneton comes in, resists steel, and you just eliminate the Metagross like that, folks. That's wonderful. So your anti-Zapdos sentiment is like mostly probably just because you don't use spikes that much, I guess. But with spikes, it's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Like Spike Zap is like a really consistent way to like actually do stuff. Especially with Toxic. I really love Toxic Zap on Spikes. It's really consistent at doing stuff. Like I think like T-Bolt, HP, T-Wave, Baton Pass is kind of a garbage set. Kind of doesn't do anything, but like Tox Tact and all those on Spikes like are really good into like Blissey Claydol is your hardest matchup as Zapdos, I feel. And Toxic is kind of really pretty good at pressuring that.
I do like
So
Toxic
yeah,
Zapdos with HP Ice.
I think it's good on spikes, but on spikeless, it's kind of like the most you can really get out of it, in my view, is you T-Wave their lead zap, and then like
It's pretty common on
it opens up
spikeless
for your.
teams. Do you disagree with that? Like on mixed off, I suppose you don't really run mixed offense in like the classic mixed offense. Also,
Not in the
special
traditional
offense.
sense. I, it's kind of just weird because like it's like a stopgap to CM Suicune on like spikeless. There's a few different ways to look at it. One is it's a T waiver for back Suicune or like back Hera or anything like that. Then you have like the generic like BP to your threat. And to me, I just don't like that. It's like if I want to get my threat in, I'll just double. Like I'll just
You'll just I'm simply better.
Literally, that's it. Just click the
They
just click the switch button. So there's that application. I don't really like that. I like light screen because it's an actual enabling move, and then you have like berry pass stuff. That I don't know when the my CI set is gonna get uploaded, but the Ganlon Berry Zapdos I ran, I was pretty happy with that.
I think I'm going to commentate that one soon. I've heard whispers of it. I haven't seen it yet.
Round two, last round. This last one, I don't know. Yeah, there's the light screen, there's Berry Pass, there's like the T-Wave enabler stuff, and then there's like the old variation where it is like sub pass to like Heracross or whatever. Like Zapdug, I don't really kind of buy into a whole lot. I think bulky sub is good, like sub that lives like Claydol Psychic. You can pass that sub. Or like I don't really buy the whole Zapdug trap list boom 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 because you're running like a huge sacrifice of a like trio set and it kind of relies on your opponent like playing into it. I just don't think it's very reliable or I can't see a way for me to reliably set it up in the team builder, which is why I don't really use it.
You're kind of right. And some special offense teams work differently, where they lure in the bliss and sacrifice like the select Suicune lead or something, which either just 6-0s in the beginning if they don't have the bliss, kinda, or lose it in for the Doug follow-up, which is more reliable, where the Zapdog has to be played into. It's still a deadly combo, though. If they ever do go bliss on the Zap, you just get them. Like, it only has to work once, so it is kind of good in that sense.
I like, if I want to run like a Doug spec off, I'm usually running Jinx instead, because Perish Song plus Doug is just so effective at getting kills, and Jinx itself is such a nasty lead. Like, it can just it's such a good positioning tool, and sleep is so good, and I love
Jinx is interesting. I think, isn't it? It's good with Jinx to just Ice Beam into the Tyranitar instead of trying to Lovely Kiss it, or even the Metagross for the Doug follow-up, instead of trying to just Lovely Kiss and get destroyed by Lumberry.
There's a couple different schools of thought. H-Clat has preached for a long time that just kiss turn 1 versus Tar, it'll be fine. And I tried that for a while, but now I'm on the just Ice Beam because I'm on the Never Melt Ice Jinx wave. It's another Pokemon where it's like, why are we running leftovers? Like, what does it do?
It makes sense on the sub-calm mindset, but if you're running the Perish Song set, it's better to just do damage or have a Lum or Never Melt Ice.
I've been doing modest Never Melt Ice, and it just clean shoot 2 shots like DD Tar. It's like ridiculous. And with sets like that, it's just super free to click Ice Beam. Because either like, if it's like a special set, I EV for Tar Fire Blast as well. So like, you just click Never Melt Ice Beam, and if they're Lum, then you have insane advantage because they Fire Blasted, you live, you get another free Ice Beam or a Sleep. And that's like a free kill. And if they're like elite like Zapdos or whatever, then obviously you're in such an advantageous position with Jinx.
I don't remember if it was in the ADVPL or what, but I brought a Jinx team, and it was the one time that it happened to be Jolly banned Salamence, and it just one-shots. That's like the worst possible outcome for Jinx. Is, you see Salamence lead, you assume it's not Jolly, because usually they aren't. They're like mixed with 299. And Jolly is not that good for banned Salamence. You sacrifice a lot of damage. The main thing is just because it outruns Jinx in the lead. But yeah sometimes like, you just get that matchup and it just one-hits you and you kind of just boned. It's kind of annoying.
It's traumatizing. Like, it's like you never want to run it again because you never know when that'll happen. Oh my god. Speaking of traumatizing Pokemon incidents. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go off on a small tangent.
No worries.
I played H-Clat like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I had Zapdos versus Tar lead. I go to Swampert turn 1 as he clicks Rock Slide. And obviously it's a defensive Swampert. You don't really want to stay in. Like, you can click Hydro, but it's a defensive pert. It's not really something you want to do. So I make the Zap double back, and he just stays in and clicks Rock Slide again to catch my Zap double. And I'm like, oh. And now every time I have Zap lead and pert, and I go pert turn 1, it's like, what if they click Slide? You can never really forget stuff like that.
H-Clat is so good at using Tyranitar like that, actually. He always does those moves, like Rock Slide in the face of Swampert to catch a double. He's kind of known for doing that. It always
works.
Yeah, there's like a layers of mind games going on there. It's not even mind games. You're not even trying it. You don't even expect it. There's no way he would stay.
Exactly.
There's no way it's Swampert versus Tyranitar. You have to exit. But he just doesn't. Yeah, it's crazy. And that's early game too. I don't know. H-Clat's crazy. How can you do that? How can you just click that?
Literally turn 2. He's just like, yeah, I'm just going to click Rock Slide.
I think he had an old interview with McMegan where he said that, Tar's job is just to make sand. So anything else it does is just like extra credit. So he has that logic kind of where even if he loses the Tar, he doesn't mind.
But I don't know, though.
I don't know if that's even true. Tar is really good. Like it's
like it checks so good.
Especially early game, you might need it to check like a sub Jirachi. I don't know. or hit a Blissey. I'm just down to lose my Tyranitar. No worries. Yeah, nuts. Yeah, it's like what we were talking about earlier. There's a lot of paths to victory, right? That play is just... There's all this conventional wisdom, risk reward, don't take risks early. And then you got to play like H-Clat that will rock slide in the face of a Swampert on turn 2 of the game, and it will work. Because there's levels and layers to how you can make decisions. You can take a risk early because no one expects you to.
Yeah. I mean, like, and it is total fairness. The zap double back, if you see defensive Swampert damage, it's like kind of telegraphed. It's like you have to catch the Scarm if you don't have spin or whatever. It's like, or you want to make a move to catch the Scarm, and like, I don't know, at that time we played like test games all the time, so maybe it was like something from that tipped him off, like, hey, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah, he would.
Or maybe he was just like, I don't know, this is funny, I'm just gonna click Rock Slide. I can't say. I don't know why he did it. But, like, it worked, so, who am I to say anything?
I suppose the game does become optimized to an extent where even the double switches out become telegraphed. Like, Smeagol teams will often double back to Smeagol whenever they're forcing something out, and you can literally just call that out. And then it might, as the Smeagol player, you're like, how the hell could he take that risk? But at that point, is it even a risk? Every Smeagol player does that, right? They will...
Dude, Smeargle versus Salamence, turn 1.
Yeah, they
when
exit.
You go Gar in the break, and they just go straight back to Smeargle. You can call it out 100% of the time. You can just click break right back into Gengar. It will work 100%.
Yeah, and that seems like a crazy move. You're slower, you die to Ice Punch against the Gengar, and they're immune to Brick Break. But it's just the tendency of the Smeagol player to double, because they need to get the Smeagol in and get the Spore off, get the momentum going. They need that.
And if you like Ice Punch into Pursuit Tar, it's just such a loss of like everything.
Yeah, from their perspective, the Ice Punch, that isn't this crazy? It's kind of wonderful. The Ice Punch into the Salamence is actually a bad move, momentum-wise. There's a lot that could answer it, and just it will either hit a Blissey or a wall and just do nothing, or you just get destroyed by a Pursuit Tar. Then you can't spin block anymore, and you're the Hyper Spikes team. So yeah, the double back to Smeagol, very punishable and telegraphed, actually. I wonder if we're alienating the audience. Do they know what we're saying? Are we getting too crazy?
That's a great question.
I think it makes sense.
There's stuff like, there's a BKC gif where like he sends out unrevealed T-Tar on Fortress, and he just clicks raw HP grass into an unrevealed Swampert. It's like, well, if you look at it, it's like, whoa, what a crazy read. But when you think about it, it's like
the Fori can never stay.
Fori has to swap out of unrevealed T-Tar. What's like the most common Fori or Tar resist with Fori? It's Swampert. So just that HP grass totally makes sense, but when you see it like just in the moment, it's like, what an insane, crazy play.
I suppose that's where the centralization comes into play, where even though the team's unrevealed, it's often a Swampert in the back, because you need the rock resist, so you can make a move like that, calling out specifically a Swampert, even if it's a super early game. We got a question from Sensei. What are some Pokemon you really wanted to make work, but never managed to?
Oh my goodness. Oh,
that's probably heaps.
Okay. I'm going to try to keep it like kind of short because I don't want to ramble for too long on you, but I have a list.
You've probably tried every Pokemon.
Do you want Pokemon or do you want sets? I assume they want Pokemon. I'm going to give you both.
Yeah.
Let's see. I pulled up my team builder because I have several in my team builder right now. No, I've used that one. I almost brought that one. Pinsir is a really big one.
What's the idea there?
Pinsir is Hyper Cutter, which means that if it ever gets a speed boost, it can click Swords Dance for free, and Mints can't intimidate it, and you can just reliably kill it with Rock Slide. And also Oko's Metagross with +2 Earthquake. So it outspeeds everything at +1 as well. So like a Salac Berry or a Speed Pass or whatever. It's like, unlike Marowak, which can be outplayed with Intimidates and whatnot, Pinsir can just sit there in the face of Intimidate and not care at all. So that's one.
And that was that a Jill pass to Pinsir?
Agility Pass, or just like Salac Berry in general. I don't know how to make it work, but it's an idea I have. Let's see. Um, Kangaskhan. Um, I I figure it's maybe like an EV issue, but it's like kind of like a pseudo Snorlax, except it has Wish. So it can theoretically try to strike a mid ground between like Lax and Blissey, but it can't really function as an electric resist, where like Lax needs a Claydol partner, Kangaskhan probably needs the same. So it's kind of like it might be stretched too thin on the EV front. It may have too many little things not going for it.
That's
Sand weakness is a really big one.
that's one that people request a lot. I was trying Thief with Rest Early Bird, and like I think I was doing Earthquake Thunderwave. I don't know what you would like. Rest Early Bird is interesting. It solves the issue that it's vulnerable to status,
Mm-hmm.
and Thief is useful.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many things it can do, but like, I don't know. It's just really hard to nail down one and make a spread for it that does what you want it to do. It's
Potential,
not
I guess.
lacking in another way.
Even like Miltank offers a bit more for a
Yeah,
similar
right? Like,
kind of Pokemon. It's got Heal Bell, Slam, Curse,
um,
Healing.
mm-hmm.
You ever tried Crobat? I feel like Crobat just does nothing. I don't know what it does.
I could rant about Crobat for a minute. I set out on a mission one day. I was like, I don't think Crobat is a top 100 Pokemon in ADV OU.
Yeah, it's literally some Enumons are better. I'd rather use Roselia or something.
Absolutely. I'm looking this up right now, what number I put Crobat at. But it was not top 100. I put several mons. Okay, yeah, I actually have the list. I have like Trapinch and Torkoal and
Above Crobat?
Kecleon. Yeah, over Crobat because I have like physical things that they can do. I put it at number 140 in ADVOU. I put Crobat.
Oh dear. The most successful
It,
Crobat I used was Taunt Toxic Confuse Ray, HP Fighting, on like a TSS.
Confuse Ray is the best you're gonna do with it. It's fast Confuse Ray, right?
Yeah,
Um,
which is just gambling.
yeah, I can't. CB is just terrible. Like, it's so sad. You sludge bomb into Metagross, and you're like, okay, goodbye.
And you
Or
can't even
you
run
come
HP
up against,
Flyer because you need HP Ground because you don't have Earthquake.
mhm, you
And then
come
you get
into
Aerial
like
Ace, which is
defensive Jirachi, and you just can't do anything.
it's rough. And
Hmm.
Arrow's right there.
Yeah, literally, it's the same speed stat. As a bonus, I'm gonna give you a few sets that I have that I've always wanted to make work. Sets from known Pokemon.
Tentacruel is one of those ones that's almost good.
Yeah, Tenta. Absolutely Tenta. It has so many things like Mirror Coat for Zapdos and just so many things it can do, but never quite nailed down. The number one set that I've wanted to use, but I can't get to work right now is Sub Lychee Berry Zapdos. Not as
Gaming.
a passer. I want to get down to Lychee Berry range and then click Double Edge, kill myself, and then trap something with Doug Trio.
That's kind of genius.
I have
Oh,
never been
trap
able
what
to
though?
make it work. Hmm?
Trap what though? Like Snorlax?
You could trap a Blissey. You could maybe trap like Snorlax.
But you could trap Blissey anyway with just Thunderbolt. Like just die and then go Doug, and that works.
You could, but doing 50% to it helps guarantee the trap. Also, it is extremely funny. Um,
Yeah,
you can hit like Flygon with double edge.
it might be better against Snorlax because you chip it way more,
Hmm.
and then maybe you get a
Yeah,
clean
no,
KO.
I've never been able to make that work, but double-edged Zapdos is the one thing that if I can ever like make it work, my dreams are fulfilled. Hyper Beam on anything. Name a Pokemon, Hyper Beam, I want to put it on it.
Have you tried the Tar
It's
Eden team with Silk Scarf Hyper
yes.
Beam? Tar?
Silk Scarf Hyper Beam Tar. Yeah,
That's
I've tried
alright
that.
because it can one hit Claydol
Hmm.
and Flygon. I think it's not terrible.
I was playing ADV RU for like the last couple months, and my favorite thing to throw on any CBer is just Hyper Beam because
It's a
like
pretty funny
stab
move.
moves are kind of whack. So like I'll have CB Pidgeot. It's like I'll just use Hyper Beam or CB Rapidash. I'll use Hyper Beam. Why not?
Wait, was it Ban Man if you used it recently? And Belly Drum Hyper Beam Snorlax.
Yes,
Does that
he's
one
been
hit
testing that.
scam? It probably does. That's
Yes,
probably the reason.
he's been testing that for at least a year. He was testing it last CI. He actually brought it last CI, but he never clicked it, and I was so mad about it. He made me test like 2 hours versus that team. He clicked belly drum and just O-code my Skarmory in like 80 test games, and then like he just never clicked it, and I was so mad at him. But he won the set, so it's okay.
I was a little tragic it didn't work against Soulwind. Won the set anyway though, but the Hyper Beam didn't quite work. It was epic.
Yeah, right.
But yeah.
It's so funny. Like Hyper Beam Snorlax. Oh my god. Tell me you don't want to click that. It's so
That is
gratifying.
That's hilarious. A lot of people reckon it could work on slacking, but I think it's not. I think slacking does not want to recharge.
Yeah, you're way better off clicking Double Edge. Oh my god. No, you just totally reminded me of something. Oh no. Bonus set. Belly Drum Mega Kick Charizard.
Oh, what? For neutral
Because
damage?
yes, you want an attack that's strong like Double Edge, but
You don't want to die
you
to
don't want the
recoil.
recoil. Yeah, you have like a pretty good roll to Oko Milotic with Mega Kick Charizard at +6, whereas HP Fly, I don't think HP Flying can ever kill. Mega Kick is like half, like a 50-50 chance to kill. I'm not brave enough to bring Belly Drum Mega Kick Charizard to a game that I want to win. But if I was gonna play my last ADV game on the planet, I'm bringing Mega Kick Charizard.
That is definitely a funny move. Mega Kick. That's a good one. That was a set in Gen 2 on Snorlax Belly Drum Mega Kick with Speed Pass. That's funny. It's a similar idea.
Right.
I suppose that's alright. Yeah, it's neutral versus Zap. Whereas HP Fly doesn't hit Zap.
Zap just explodes to Mega Kick and stuff that could otherwise
Nah, I
wall
definitely
like.
want to Mega Kick a Zapdos. That sounds like a good time.
Dude, doesn't it? It's so silly.
Oh, that's epic. Mega Kick. That's wonderful. What do you think is the best funny Pokemon set that you've used that like really surprised you with how effective it was? For me, it was probably Banette. I went into Banette thinking nothing, and I found a surprisingly good Pokemon.
That is an excellent question. Best like funny Pokemon or set that I've used that has pleasantly surprised me. Wow. Okay. Oh, I have the perfect answer. Um, Black Belt Salamence. Max Attack Black Belt Brick Break. I threw it on one of my teams. I think it was one of my Metacham teams. Just like I don't want to DD Ments, whatever. And then I'm like, I'm gonna use this Black Belt set. It like reliably like Oko's Tar. It does like 65 to Blissey or something ridiculous like that. My favorite part is Brick Break HP Grass. Like you Brick Break into Swampert and it does like 20, they see no item off sand, and then if you have a Suicune revealed especially, they're never clicking Ice Beam, so you Brick Break, and then you get the follow-up HP Grass, and it's like, oh my god, what the heck is this? That's my favorite funny set that's worked.
That sounds good because you also can bluff Band sometimes. You brick back into the tar.
Yeah.
They assume Band. You get sand chipped. They might go to swamp it. I guess
Free
you'd
HP
lose,
Grass.
but yeah, you'd lose your Salamence after that. But you get huge chip on him.
Or
Gengar.
it's like Rock Slide as
you've
well.
lost out
So you
like
brick,
Gengar.
you Brick Break into the Zapdos, and you get a free Rock Slide after.
Oh, that's
'Cause it's like,
wonderful.
what's that gonna do? But in terms of Pokemon and not moveset, Lunatone is absolutely the best thing that I've been like, this is goofy. And then I try it and it's actually like really good. Lunatone or Solrock, actually.
I prefer
I don't think
Solrock actually.
the world has not seen my Solrock set yet, but
Oh boy.
I don't run it choice band. I do CM Overheat Charcoal because it Oko's Metagross.
You put speed.
Yeah, you got like max speed, max special attack, CM Charcoal Overheat Solrock. And if they go to something that like beats a CM overheat, you can just click Explosion. The other move is HP Grass for Swampert. It doesn't have much special attack, so don't expect much damage from the HP Grass, but the overheat hits like a truck.
I guess with the Calm Mind, you live pump, hopefully. Do you two-hit? You probably two-hit. Swamp it.
Oh yeah, because it's like 350 special attack after a
That's
CM.
kind of a genius lure. You just revealed your hand, though. Now people are gonna know. That would have beat someone good.
Well,
That's all right. They won't watch this.
they're not gonna watch this, and it might work anyway.
Or you mix it up. You run HP Ice. Yeah, like
HP
I watched
Ice,
the
or
gym
just run-
episode. I knew it was HP, and then it's all over.
Yeah, or I just run CB Charcoal like the normal one.
I like this.
Or not
I like
CB
the choice
Charcoal.
band. The choice band lead Soul Rock's actually quite good because it's good versus Zap Task elements. That's what
Yeah.
you want.
It's a really nice matchup spread.
Yeah, it's choice band with like HP fighting to hit Tar. Explosion is just good versus everything. It's got levitate, so it can't get earthquaked. Resist flying. Wonderful.
Yeah, I came up with the overheat one because I was trying to make Soul Rock work, and I was sitting there like, there has to be a use for it other than like CB. And I'm like, because that just gets walled by Metagross. I'm like, it learns overheat. I wonder what I can do with that.
I didn't know it learned that.
Well, it's like the sun and the moon. Lunatone has the ice moves, Soul Rock has the fire moves.
Oh yeah,
Um,
true.
which of course the fire moves are substantially worse because it has 55 special attack and Lunatone has 95, I think. So it gets to click Ice Beam with like an actual base power or an actual stat.
Is that why it can explode, like the heat death of the universe or something?
Something like that, probably.
Because Lunatone can't explode.
No, it can. It just has
Oh, it can. I didn't. I thought only
it
Soul Rock
just
could.
has no attack.
Yeah, no one uses it, right? A question from Spicy Nugs. If you could bring an item from a later gen to Gen 3, what would you bring?
Ugh.
Someone asked me this the other day. I think I said Covert Cloak would be interesting. I wouldn't want to bring anything broken like Scarf or Specs that would totally upheave everything. But something that has like a little utility use could be interesting. Or that one item that blocks in Tim. I forgot what it's called.
Clear Amulet.
Yeah. That could be cool on like fighters.
This is a really interesting question because I absolutely agree with you. Specs and Scarf are total no-goes for me. I think some things that could be interesting, Custat Berry would be really funny. I mean, we already have that sort of in Salak, but Salak sort of shows its hand, Custat doesn't. I think Eject Button would be an interesting add, but it would absolutely be broken with Doug Trio in the tier because you could just run anything with Eject Button, free Doug traps. If I had to give one solid answer, I would say,
Expert belts might even honestly be a bit too broken on like mixed tar.
yeah, that probably sets some KO ranges over the threshold.
You gotta be very careful with that, right? You don't want to introduce something insane into the mix.
Absolutely. I feel like,
I like the idea of Covert Cloak would help versus like Rachi, Click and Slam and Fire Punch. But it also isn't broken because like you lose lefties.
Yeah, it neutralizes Rock Slide flinches, which is really good.
That'll make Milo really
I don't know.
annoying.
That's a really good question. I think instead of bringing a new item, I would bring new gen like either berries where like the wiki and the Ayapapa heal more than 1/8, or like magnet is actually 1.2 times. And like charcoal is actually 1.2 times. I think instead of introducing a new item, I would redo the mechanics of items we already have.
I wonder how much of an impact that would have if they all were 1.2 instead of 1.1.
The most notable one is Magneton Okoing Skarmory guaranteed.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't know that it would have that much impact.
The Never Melt Ice Jinx gets better. You could probably run those items on more things, like even Magnet Zap might actually be quite good. Like
they make a lot more impact on rolls.
What a thought-provoking question. But my answer would be Covert Cloak. Hopefully that would not break the game and create Milo stall. I would think not, because you lose lefties, but then like you can
That's
weather
a
clear.
pretty big downside.
From Dropped My Marbles, what is your least favorite Pokemon and favorite candy bar? I guess they're
Favorite
unrelated.
Pokemon? Pokemon how? Like just in general or in Gen 3 or should I answer both?
Maybe overall, in any format you've played, who's... I guess you can dislike a Pokemon for many reasons, annoying and competitive, or you just don't like the look of the guy. However you
Um,
choose to answer, I suppose. Whatever comes to mind.
oh,
The people know my
I
answer.
I don't know. My least favorite's probably Clefairy.
Oh, really?
It
In some low
it's
tier.
just an annoying dude, in all low tiers, all it does is Magic Guard, a Violite, Heat Wave. It's like play the game. Come on.
That is pretty... That's pretty
It's
powerful.
it's so annoying. My favorite Pokemon in general, it would be something like
How do you feel about Iron Jugulus?
that the name just makes me recoil. I hate that
I
thing.
think
But
I've made the case that that's objectively the worst Pokemon ever made. Iron Jugulus is devoid
no,
of
that's valid.
value whatsoever.
That's totally valid. Dude, I that thing makes me so mad. Why doesn't it learn a setup move? Like it come on.
It's so
Nasty
lame in
plot.
every
Make it
way. It
fun to
doesn't even...
use.
It's like a robot dragon and it's dark flying. Doesn't even make any
It's
sense.
dumb. You might have a point. I think my answer is probably drowsy, though.
Oh,
Just ugly.
Drowsy. He's a little... What is he, a tapir or an anteater?
Something like
He's alright. I like Hypno. He
ugly.
evolves to get a watch that he uses for hypnosis. How does that happen? Raises some questions about things I don't want to think about. If it's not Iron Jugulus, I think I really dislike Melmetal. I think it looks disgusting. Do you know Melmetal?
Oh, dude. Double Iron Bash is like the dumbest move they've ever put in a game.
Yeah, that's 2 hit and both have a flinch chance.
It's
What's
like a
going on with that?
51% flinch chance off of like a 144 BP move. Like, what are we doing?
That's quite fun, isn't it?
If that move was any more than 8 PP, it would be disgusting. And it already is disgusting.
We've got an interesting question here about Gen 3 Ubers, but it might be a complicated one. I don't know. I'd like to ask you anyway. I'm curious what you have to say. Teckle1 asked, what do you think about the decline of Sunstall in ADV Ubers? I remember talking to you a couple of years ago. You put Groudon really high on the Gen 3 Ubers VR, and you believed Sun defensive teams were like the meta in your eyes. Has that changed? I wasn't aware.
This is a good question. I still think Sun is preferable and dominant in that tier, mostly just because of the negative side effects Rain has, where you have to take full accuracy thunders. That's really the big thing for me. Is like it's hard to be super consistent when your weather setter is taking 100% accuracy thunders from Latios, and Sun reduces that risk like substantially. Um, I think Sun's sort of balanced defense is the most consistent way to succeed in that tier still. Um, it's flexible. Um, it the the worst part about it is that it's actually hard to like be consistent and continue to win with it. Um, you can run like Groudon Kyogre type teams, and those are really good. They're really hard though, and that it's very rewarding when you win with those because you have to know what you're doing. But they're very very
Yeah,
good,
you got both
and
weathers.
if mhm, they work together to get through Latios. I I don't know that it's ever necessarily fell off. I think bad sunstalls are worse than before just because there's more tools people know about that are really, really good versus stall, like Rest Lax on offense is super good. Mono, CM Mewtwo, like sub CM Recover. Is really good versus that stuff. People are more aware of how to deal with sun fat, but the good ones aren't full like sit there and just eat hits all the time. And like the bad ones are sitting there and just risking crits and just waiting for it. It's like a builder check, kind of. Is like, did you prepare for stall? I think those got worse because people are better at preparing for stall now. But I don't think Sun defense and balance has really fell off though. No.
I guess stall is the key word there. If you're too passive, you get taken advantage of. The meta adapts. But as long as you
Mm-hmm.
have a form of pressure. And Sun does provide consistency. I've played a lot of Gen 3 Ubers. It is good. Grudon offers a lot defensively and offensively. And the big thing is making Thunder 50 accuracy, because if you have to switch in on Thunder, it'll eventually power you, and then the full powers come into play. It's really annoying. So you come in on a Snorlax, taking Thunder. You can live the hit, but after a while, you're eventually going to get paralyzed.
Yeah, like even if you're swapping in Blissey to take Thunder, like if they won the Spikes War and like they're getting hazards up on you and your Blissey's taking Thunder, it eats para, you get full para, you're not really taking the next Thunder super well. And
Yeah.
having Sun really minimizes that risk for you.
That's true, folks. I would like to do more Gen 3 Ubers stuff. I really like the tier. Just sucks that those old formats don't have ladders. I wish there were permanent ladders for some formats that are like popular enough. I guess that would be favoritism or something. You can't have all of the ladders. But Gen 3 Ubers I really like.
It's a really cool tier. Well, it's really cool to think about for me. I don't really like playing it so much anymore because I don't like full paralysis. But there's a lot of really cool things that go down in that tier. And there's a lot of room for how do I say very well thought out sequences. I think that tier really rewards thinking ahead very well.
I would agree. All right. Well, I've got to go make videos and stuff, but I'll ask one final question for you. From insert funny thing here. Would you win in a fight against an Ampharos? How powerful is an Ampharos, do you think? It's not a very powerful Pokemon, but he's got electricity powers. He's got a low speed.
Dude, I'm not winning. I'm totally not winning. It has static. Are you kidding me?
Well, that won't proc. No worries. It's 30%. You'll be right.
Oh, I got a 1/3 chance to just like be paralyzed. Like, I don't know. I don't think I'm ever winning that.
You got any way to cause an earthquake? That would help you. If you could cause an earthquake, you'd be good. Maybe dig a hole under the ground. Use dig.
That might work, but like, I don't know. Am I allowed to have a shovel when I go in? And aren't shovels like metal?
I think that would be fair.
I don't know if that's gonna work out for me.
You could throw some dirt at it. That's the ground, and then he's in shambles.
Mud slaps.
Slap some mud on him. Yeah, mud slap him. That's a 2-hit.
No, I don't.
Just put a vest on, assault vest, and then you can live. One Thunderbolt.
My concern is more so touching anything with the ability static. It's like, that's just surely not good for you,
gonna be
right?
paralyzed.
Like,
maybe.
You get 2/3 chance to be like, okay, and 1/3 chance to just be gone.
Yeah, just don't touch him. Don't make contact. The Mud Slap is not a contact move. I don't think Mud Slap makes contact because you're throwing mud at him. You're not touching him. So that's probably your best strat. I don't think you can cause an earthquake. And we're assuming you're a normal type because you're a human being. That's normal. Probs. I think you have a chance as long as you come prepared. It's probably, if it's a wild Ampharos, it doesn't have any good moves. Might have like Spark or something crap. If it's been EV trained and stuff, and maybe it has Body Slam on it, then you might be in trouble.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, if it has Thunder Punch, I think I just lose, right? Like, how do you beat that?
That would be painful, and that would bypass your Assault Vest strategy if we're in modern gen mechanics. Depending on what year it is that this happens.
What year it is really depends on the human Ampharos matchup.
Yeah, if we're talking 20 years ago, this occurred in the past, there would be no physical special split, but then you can't get an Assault Vest. I'm just talking nonsense at this point. That's okay. I say you win. I've got faith in you.
You're a lot more optimistic.
I think your team building skill would apply to this situation. You would think of something. You think up a scheme to get one up on the Ampharos. If you had prep time, I think you got it. It's
like the Superman versus Batman thing.
Oh yeah,
right.
If Batman has prep time, yeah.
Human versus Ampharos. Human has prep time.
That's true. That's the advantage of humans. We have intellect and stuff like that. Well, thank you so much for the chat. And you don't have a YouTube channel, but if you did make one, I'm sure people would watch if you're interested in that. Maybe you're just a gamer.
I don't know. I've thought about it for a long time. I uploaded some videos like 2-3 years ago, but like I don't know. Because sort of my concern is what people watch. I have a lot of stuff to say, but it's like, do people care about that? Like, I want to talk about like team building concepts and like what I think about blah 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 blah. I'm like, I don't know that people would watch it, but like, yeah, that's definitely been on my mind before.
I think they would. The people do ask me to make educational content about team building and stuff like that. Or I used to do the Team Doctor series back in the day where I like take a viewer team and edit it to make it better and practice with it. You could do that. That sounds like something you could do. A bit of interactivity with the fans. There is a market for this, and you're a skilled player, so I think people would turn up and they would listen. If you would be interested in that, I would certainly watch your channel.
I don't know. I'll think about it, and I'm sure you'll hear about it if it ever happens.
I'm sure I will. Well, thank you again for coming on, and I'll catch you later then. I'll take a look at your Gymvitational set in a moment.
Oh dear.
I'm sure I'm going to see some gaming at work. All right. See you later.
See ya.